Come step back in time.
Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into history and uncover the truths and myths of the past. Today, we're setting sail on a journey back in time to the era of the Vikings, a group of seafaring warriors and traders from the Scandinavian region. The Vikings, often depicted with horned helmets in popular culture, were much more than just fearsome warriors. They were explorers, traders, and settlers who left an indelible mark on the world. Their influence Let's dive into the fascinating world of the Vikings, a group of seafaring people from the late 8th to early 11th century. Their seafaring skills were far superior to any other group at the time. They were able to navigate the open sea using only the stars, the sun, and the flight patterns of birds. Their longships, with their shallow draft design, were perfect for both deep and shallow waters. They were fast, durable, and could carry a large crew, making them ideal for exploration, trade, and warfare. The Vikings' voyages took them far and wide. They discovered and settled in Iceland, Greenland, and even reached North America, which they called Vinland 500 years before Columbus. One of their most notable voyages was led by Leif Erikson, who is believed to have landed in what is now Newfoundland. They also established trade routes all the way to the Byzantine Empire and the Middle East. These voyages had a profound impact on the Vikings and the places they visited. They brought back wealth, new technologies, and ideas that influenced their culture. For the places they visited, the Vikings left a lasting legacy. In England and Ireland, they established cities like York and Dublin. In Russia, they founded the state of Rus, which would later become a powerful nation. Their influence can still be seen today in these places, from architecture to language. The Vikings were not just warriors. They were a society built on the ethos of battle. Their warrior ethos was deeply ingrained in their culture, shaping their societal structures and personal identities. They believed in the concept of Valhalla, a warrior's paradise, where those who died bravely in battle would be welcomed. This belief fueled their fearlessness in battle and their relentless pursuit of honor and glory. The Viking society was a meritocracy, where a person's worth was determined by their courage and prowess in battle. This ethos was not just confined to the battlefield. It permeated every aspect of their life, influencing their laws, their rituals, and their relationships. Viking warfare was characterized by swift surprise attacks on unsuspecting settlements, a tactic known as hit and run. They were masters of stealth and navigation, using their longships to swiftly approach, attack, and retreat. Their weapons were as fearsome as they were, with axes, swords, and spears being their primary tools of destruction. Notable battles such as the Siege of Paris in 845 showcased their tactical brilliance and their ability to instill fear in their enemies. But it wasn't just about physical strength. The Vikings also employed psychological warfare, using terrifying masks and war cries to intimidate their enemies. In Viking society, the warrior was the epitome of honor and respect. They were the protectors, the adventurers, and the conquerors. Their stories were told and retold, passed down through generations as sagas. In mythology, the warriors held a special place. They were the chosen ones, handpicked by the gods to fight alongside them in the final battle of Ragnarok. The gods themselves were warriors, with Odin, the All-Father, being the god of war and death. The warrior's role was not just to fight and conquer, but to uphold the values of courage, honor, and glory that were the pillars of Viking society. Let's start our journey with an overview of the goods the Vikings traded. The Vikings were not just warriors, but skilled traders. They traded a variety of goods, from everyday items like grains, wool, and leather, to luxury items like silver, silk, and even exotic animals. They were known for their craftsmanship, and their jewelry, weapons, and tools were highly sought after. They also traded slaves, which was a dark but significant part of their economy. Now, let's look at where they established their trade routes. The Vikings were seafarers, and they used their advanced shipbuilding skills to establish trade routes across the seas. They traded with countries as far away as the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic Caliphate in the east, and they established trade routes across the Baltic and North Seas, reaching as far as Greenland and North America in the west. These routes were not just paths for trade, but also for cultural exchange and exploration. Moving on, let's analyze how trade influenced Viking society and culture. Trade brought wealth and prosperity to the Vikings, and this is reflected in their rich and complex society. The wealth from trade allowed them to build impressive ships and structures, and it also influenced their art and culture, with foreign influences seen in their jewelry, clothing, and even their language. Trade also led to the rise of powerful trading centers, like the town of Hedeby, which became important cultural and political centers. Finally, let's explore the Vikings' impact on the economies of the places they traded with. The Vikings were not just traders, but also raiders, and their raids often had a significant impact on the economies of the places they traded with. However, their trade also brought benefits. They provided markets for local goods, and their demand for luxury items stimulated production in many regions. In some places, they introduced new technologies and practices, which had a lasting impact on local economies. In conclusion, the Vikings were far more than the fierce warriors they are often portrayed as. They were also skilled traders and intrepid explorers with a keen sense for business and adventure that took them far beyond their
trading skills were not
just a means of survival, but a cornerstone of their society. They traded a variety of goods from furs and amber from their native lands to silk and spices from the east. This exchange of goods was not just about material wealth, but also about the exchange of ideas and culture. As they traded, they absorbed and integrated elements from the cultures they interacted with, enriching their own society in the process. Moreover, their explorations took them to far-flung corners of the world, from the icy landscapes of Greenland to the fertile lands of the Byzantine Empire. These journeys were not just about conquest, but also about discovery and the pursuit of new trading partners. The impact of their trade and exploration was profound, not just on their own society and culture, but also on the economies and cultures of the places they traded with. They established trade routes that would be used for centuries, and their influence can still be seen today in the cultural and genetic footprint they left behind. So, when we think of the Vikings, let's remember them not just as warriors, but as the complex and dynamic society they truly were. Traders, explorers, and cultural ambassadors whose legacy continues to shape our world today. Before we conclude, let's take a moment to revisit the key points we've covered in this video. We started our journey with the Vikings' early history, exploring their origins and the factors that led them to become such formidable seafarers. We delved into their culture, their beliefs, and their societal structure, shedding light on their unique way of life. We also examined their notable achievements, from their exploration of unknown lands to their influence on the art and literature of the time.